One of the questions I frequently get from business analysis career aspirants in banking and financial services is what kind of analysis is done by business analysts working in banks and financial services firms. In this video, let us try to understand this with a real world project example. Now keep in mind, here my focus in this video is primarily on analysis rather than documentation. Let us assume a bank is enhancing its mobile banking application to incorporate check deposit through the mobile banking application. Now, if you are new to the concept of mobile check deposit, then I would recommend you watch this YouTube video by Bank of America that explains how mobile check deposit feature work on their app. Now, coming back to our topic, you are assigned as a business analyst on this project. You have understood the vision of senior management and the scope of the project. Now you decide to interview the key stakeholders. The mobile banking product manager wants to ensure the process of mobile deposit is intuitive and customer is able to complete the check deposit without needing to seek help from anyone else. The customer should also get an acknowledgement of the deposit as they normally get in the bank when they deposit the check physically. The service manager wants to ensure the check is valid for deposit and passes the necessary check, which is normally performed by the banker in the branch. This would avoid any manual intervention and the e-check can be processed through the clearinghouse without any difficulty. You interview the banker in the branch or the teller to understand what they do when the customer brings the check to them for deposit. During the interview, you understand that there are certain validations which they perform before they issue the deposit acknowledgement slip to the customer. You learn that the check is then passed on to the back office team who would scan the check and submit the e-check to the clearing house for settlement. Based on these interviews, you document your initial requirements. Here are some of those requirements. The first requirement is the system shall allow mobile banking customers to deposit checks to their account via mobile banking application. The second requirement is the system shall provide step-by-step guidance to mobile banking customers on how to deposit checks. The third requirement is about validation. The system shall perform basic validation to ensure the check is in order. These validations include validating that the name of the account holder matches with the payee name on the check, validating the amount of the check and ensuring it is valid, ensuring the check is not out of date or predated, verifying the issuer has signed the check, confirming that the payee has signed at the back of the check in the payee signature area, and finally, checking that the security area at the back of the check is clear, that is, the customer has not written anything in that area. Other requirements include the system shall ensure that the amount of e-deposit slip matches the check amount. The system shall issue an e-deposit acknowledgement for each valid deposit. The system shall notify the customer when their account will be credited with the deposited check amount. The system shall instruct customers to retain check for safekeeping for 30 days. Now, these are the requirements for the application, but are they sufficient for the developers to code? No, this is not enough for the developers to complete their coding. It requires further analysis from the business analyst. So how would a business analyst analyze this further and provide developers with the details they need to code? Let us look at the first requirement, which states the system shall allow mobile banking customers to deposit checks via the mobile banking application. Now, it is very much possible that a customer may have multiple accounts with the bank under the same relationship ID. So the customer should be able to decide which account they want to deposit this check to. So based on this analysis, you need to add a further statement to the requirement out there, which is something like this. The customer shall select the account to which the check is to be deposited. So when the customer is logged on to the app and wants to deposit the check, and if the customer has multiple accounts, then the customer is asked to select the account to which they want to deposit the check. Now, from a documentation perspective, you may decide to write a use case detailing out every step in this action, or else if it's an agile environment, then you would explain it to the team how this is going to work and the team will be able to code it. Let's look at the second requirement, which states the system shall provide step-by-step guidance to mobile banking customers on how to deposit the check. What you need to analyze out here is that how will this guidance be provided? Should we show a video? Should the screen display the next steps as text? How is it going to work? It's a business decision. So in this case, you will analyze what are the different options and have a discussion with the business and ask for their feedback. Based on whatever business wants, you would document that in the requirements document or the functional specification document. Based on the discussion with business, you may update the requirement to state something like this. The system shall provide a text prompt to customer on each step to guide the customer complete the mobile check deposit. In your functional specification document, you would further expand it to show the steps involved, which would be taking a picture of the check, signing at the back of the check, taking a picture of the back of the check, filling in the details of the deposit, and then submitting it. So the step-by-step details would be provided as the customer moves on to the next steps. Now, the third requirement out here is that the system shall perform basic validations to ensure check is in order. And there are multiple validation rules in there. So these business rules include checking the name of the account holder if it matches with the payee name on the check, or checking if the dates are valid. Let's look at what kind of analysis would be required here. Now, for validating that the name of the account holder matches the payee name on the check, as a BA, you need to define what extent the name has to be matched. Say a customer's account is in the name of Paul A. Thompson. So the check could be drawn in the name of Paul Thompson, or sometimes as Thompson Paul, with the last name as written first and the first name written last, or could be as Paul Andrew Thompson, which is the full name of the customer, or just as P.A. Thompson. So what are the valid names as per your bank's business rule? So as a business analyst, you need to work with the business to understand which of these name scenarios are valid, which of these names are acceptable, and teach the system how to validate the payee name on the check with the account holder's name. Similarly, when it comes to date, the OCR tool will extract the data, which includes the date out there. Now, the system needs to validate if the check date is valid and is not earlier than 90 days from the current date or the next business date, which may be as per the business rules of the bank. Now, the date on the check itself can be written in multiple formats. It could be MMDD format, or it could be MMDD format, or it could be MDYY format, or DDMONYY format. So it could be different formats in which the check could be written or the dates on the check could be written. So as a business analyst, you need to analyze what are the different date options a customer or a payer may write the date as, and then include that in the whitelist of different formats. Some of the date formats may not be acceptable. So you need to call out which of those date formats are not acceptable so that the developer can code accordingly. So to be a good business analyst, you need to think through different scenarios, different possibilities, and document them so that the developers can code accordingly. Now, this was an example of some of the analysis which a business analyst would perform, or the scenarios which a business analyst would need to think of when they are working on an IT project and what they need to document as a business analyst. Business analysts in banking and financial services get paid premium salaries as compared to other industries. This is primarily because in the banking and financial services, the cost of analysis going wrong can be huge. A bank can lose millions of dollars if the analysis goes wrong. Therefore, in this sector, hiring managers emphasize on domain knowledge. If you want to get domain knowledge or learn how to analyze different business applications in banking and capital markets, then join our business analyst course. It's a practical course where we cut the global gyan and focus on analyzing real-world business applications in banking and capital markets. That's it for today. See you soon with another knowledge sharing video in banking and capital markets domain. And don't forget to subscribe to mondayskills.com. With Monday Skills, you learn fast and grow fast. See you soon.